Hello and welcome to the Winchester Archives Supernatural Podcast. I'm Ed,
And I broke.
and today we'll be discussing Season 1, Episode 19, Provenance. But before we do, here's a quick spoiler warning. As always, we will be connecting dots from across the entire series, so if you have not finished watching Supernatural, or this is your first time watching it, spoilers. We're going to spoil everything. So, heads up. And also, before we get going, an explicit content warning, we are adults talking about an adult show that deals with dark and sensitive topics. So expect adult language, mature discussion, and dark humor. That time I said it in order,
You
unlike last
did.
week.
This episode aired on April 13th, 2006. It was written by David Ehrman and directed by Bill Sagrisha. Supporting cast is Taylor Cole as Sarah Blake. While heading through upstate New York, the brothers see in the newspaper that a couple was murdered in their home with no obvious signs of a break-in. When they get to the home, it is completely empty and there are no paranormal signs like through EMF. They head to an estate sale where they stick out like sore thumbs trying to pass as art dealers. They know a painting is connected to what is happening because of notes left in John's journal. Along the way, Sam gets to feel something for someone other than Jess, which is really his first step into the healing process. And after some sharp twists and turns, the brothers, along with Sam's date, figure out how to stop the painting. And then they reluctantly move on to the next place. And with that said, you can listen to us on all major podcast platforms and watch along on YouTube. If you'd like to support the show, you can head over to Patreon at patreon.com/the Winchester Archives Podcast. I know I say it every week, but there are a lot of perks from Discord to digital art and to the archive addendum episodes.
Indeed. We are also on Instagram and TikTok at Winchester Archives Pod. Also, like, subscribe, comment, all the fun things, share it around, upvote it, rate it 5 stars, all the fun things on all the platforms to help keep us growing. We must consume everyone.
What?
Now, into the small details. Go ahead, Brooke.
Okay, that was sinister.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, so this episode doesn't have a recap at all. We just go straight into the story.
Uh-huh.
The Telesco couple bought a creepy painting of a family at a charity auction.
Real quick, why would you buy that?
Mm,
Why would you want that in your house? It's a family portrait.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
just want some random family's portrait in the middle of your house?
I thought it was kinda charming.
I don't know. That picture's kind of creepy. Anyway,
I guess it's no different than buying, like, a copy of, like, the Mona Lisa. It's a person you don't know.
I guess. Feel like
Mhm.
it's kind of different, but fair enough.
The couple here, they're so excited about their painting and hanging it up that they're about to, get frisky in the living room,
Mhm.
and the old man's face in the portrait starts moving. The husband is making sure, like, the door is locked and the alarm system is on, but while he's doing that, from what I saw, the figure of the boy left the painting, and I'm just going to say that's all of my notes going forward is about this boy leaving the painting, but I had to rewatch the scene for other part of my notes, and it's actually the razor blade that is missing, not the boy. So I was wrong this whole episode through my notes, but we're not correcting it. We're just gonna go with it. So we see the razor blade is missing and some figure is making their way up to the bedroom where the wife is,
Mhm.
and it kills her. And then her husband goes upstairs to get ready to do the thing, and he finds her dead body in bed, and then he dies.
Yeah. Awful. And
Yes.
it's like her throat was like cut open.
Yes. Now we see Dean at a bar grabbing a woman's number, which this
Shocker.
is counted as an error in the episode, but I kind of feel like it's not an error. I think it's just Dean being Dean. But like he's grabbing her number and she says 3420. And then Dean repeats back 7420, and she doesn't
That's funny.
correct him. It's just like, "Yeah, that's right." So it's either he said the wrong number on purpose or on accident, and I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, it could be him just playing up that Dean's kinda not he's drunk and kinda dumb sometimes.
Yeah,
Or it could just be like they just said the wrong lines, and then instead of, like, redoing it, they're just like, "No one's gonna care because I didn't notice it." I'll be honest.
yeah. And Sam is at a table looking through newspapers to research cases.
Again, as he does.
Dean brings over 2 beers to the table with Sam, but there's already 1 beer on the table, so he didn't need to get 2. But anyway, Dean says he wants to take a break from hunting to spend some time with those ladies, one for him and one for Sam. Sam says he can get his own dates, and Dean says, "You can, but you don't." And in my thought, I'm like, okay, Dean, the love of his life died like what, 6 months ago?
Yeah.
And then the last person Sam kind of found attractive ended up being a demon.
Exactly. So, I would be hesitant to date as well if I was him.
Yes. Even though they still don't know she's a demon, they think she's just was working with them. But
An
either
evil
way,
witch that tried to kill them. Either way.
yes. Sam is now telling Dean about the murders, how there's no prints, the alarm was on, no signs of B&E, but Dean is basically desperate to be with these women, and he's like, "Yeah, not our problem." And Sam says dad made notes about this. And then I also point out, like, "Hey, they get some points for continuity because there's still 3 beers on the table, and what the one Dean was drinking is actually lower
Mm,
in the shot when they zoom back out."
perfect.
So
Good
that's
job.
cool.
Either
Yeah.
one taked it or you made sure the props are the same.
Yes, exactly. Now, after all of this, after finding out it's in dad's journal, Dean agrees it's worth checking out
Of
first
course.
thing in the morning.
Mhm.
And he's telling these women that Sam is a Hollywood producer and he can get them into, like, acting or modeling gigs. That's how he's, like,
Yeah.
getting into bed with them.
So dumb.
Mhm. Dean is now asleep in the car in the passenger side with sunglasses on, very clearly hungover. Sam walks up to the car and presses the horn very loudly to wake them up.
Very rude. That
It
would suck.
is.
That would suck so bad.
It would.
Imagine being hungover, you have a kind of a headache already, you're, like, barely asleep, and then, like, someone slams the car horn.
Yeah,
I'd be so upset.
that would start an argument.
I'd be so upset. I'd be like, "You could have woke me up any other way."
Yes, exactly. So Sam gets back in the car and he says the Telesco house is clean of all EMF readings. And then he said last night while Dean was out, he researched the home and nothing came back about the house or the owners. And Dean is saying if it's not the people or the house, it's a cursed object.
Smart.
So, yeah, although the house is empty
Womp womp.
of all their stuff, completely gone.
That's quick. In a day, man.
Yes.
Rich people don't fuck around with their wills.
No. No, they don't. So, they're looking for the couple's stuff, and they pull into an area. The shot is so cool because it has, like, all these really clean, nice new cars, and then it shows theirs, which, like,
Mhm.
yes, an Impala is cool and nice, but theirs is not clean or shiny. They
Yeah.
don't take good care of it, like well, Dean would beg to differ on that, but their
They
car
take
goes
good care of it. It's just an older car, and they,
yes,
like, drive it down back roads forever.
yes,
Like, it's just
exactly.
not a fancy car that you, like, don't take out often and keep in the garage forever
Yes.
like these cars.
It turns out they're at an estate sale at an auction house, that's selling all the stuff from the home.
Like I said, they don't fuck around.
Mhm.
Quick turnover.
Besides the car, they are also sticking out because of how they are dressed. Like
And how they act in, like,
yes.
the next, like, 5 seconds. It's just hilarious to watch.
Yep.
This is one of my favorite scenes of the whole episode. I was just like, "This is so funny."
He not he. They're pretending to be art dealers, But the owner of the art house is just, like, not having it. And he's like, "This is a private auction, and you weren't invited." And they're like, "We were. Go check the list." And they just kinda walk away.
Yeah. Confident.
Yeah. And they're looking at the photo from the Telesco home, and as they're looking, this woman named Sarah Blake walks in and kinda quizzing them about art history,
Mhm.
and Sam replies, they have a little banter here, and then she starts explaining that she thinks it's grisly selling someone's things so soon after they die.
Literally less than a day. Yes, that's insane.
I don't know if it was less than a day because it was in the newspaper.
Sure, okay, so maybe it was, like, a couple days, but
Yes, it
still.
was still, like, less than a week, I would
It's like a
assume.
week later at most, and it's like,
Yeah.
"That's fast." To be like, "We're selling everything."
At an estate sale, that means they
Yeah,
didn't nobody wanted their stuff, like, no one claimed it.
which is crazy.
So, yeah. So Sam asked Sarah for the provenance, which is the history of the artwork's ownership. But they don't have time to go get it before Sarah's dad kicks them out because he did check and they were not on the list.
Got him.
Though she and Sam had a very obvious connection, so we know they're going to be meeting up later. Now the brothers enter their motel room and it's specifically made for a good time, capital G, good time.
Yeah, capital G.
Mhm. But somehow Dean ended up having Sarah's number. Like he just pulls out his phone and he's like, "You should give her a call." Okay. So Sam calls her and they meet up at a restaurant so he can get more information.
Mhm.
Also, that's something that just like drives me nuts in TV shows when they're just like, "Oop, I have their number," and you just have to like assume they got it off camera.
Yeah.
Bothers me.
It wouldn't surprise me if Dean did it for Sam based on this rest of this episode where, like, he's really trying to, like, push him to, like, go date someone or, like, at least, like, go sleep with someone.
Yes. Yeah, I
So,
agree.
it really wouldn't surprise me if he's like, "Oh, I picked this up for you," before
Mhm.
we left.
Yeah. Yeah, that
'Cause,
makes
like, she
sense.
clearly likes him, so, like, she would totally give it to him for him.
At this restaurant, we find out that she is not a stuffy rich person because she wants a beer and not wine. They're casually, just getting to know each other, and she feels like a super good fit for Sam, which means this is not going to end well.
Yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
You can't, have good things happen to the boys,
No.
basically ever.
She tells him she hasn't been dating lately because her mom died and it broke her safe space.
No,
So she couldn't really get out. And then she asks Sam why he hasn't been dating. And he has trouble getting the words out, and it makes her pretty annoyed because it's kinda like he just
understandably.
keeps saying, like, "That's a long story for another time."
Yeah, everything's a long story. It's just like, what's the point then?
Yes, like, you're not getting to know anybody if you keep pushing
Yeah.
off the question, so I don't blame her for being
Yeah.
irritated. Even though we know he's not telling her because ghost and stuff, but yeah, still.
It's funny though, like, by the end of the episode, there's been a surprising amount of people that are now, like, at the end of these episodes that are now aware of the supernatural. Like, their
Mhm,
whole thing is trying to be secretive, but then they, like, end up revealing it to, like, half the cast in the episode, most of the episodes.
that's true.
Just funny to me.
It is, and I think it can technically stay a secret because who's gonna go around telling people
You're
when
gonna
you
sound
get,
like
like
you're insane.
yeah,
Everyone's gonna be like, "You're a crazy person." Okay.
like, "That time I killed a ghost with these 2 brothers who travel around," and, like, it's gonna sound like
Yeah.
you're just making up a story.
Yeah, or you're just actually insane.
Mhm. Although, she wasn't too annoyed at Sam, even though she seems like it, because
Mhm.
now we're back at the motel, and Dean asked what he had to do to get the papers because he has the provenance. And he said he went back to Sarah's place and got the papers and he left. And Dean is shocked. He's like, and, and he's just like
Mhm.
surprised Sam didn't have to like coerce her into giving the documents at all.
Or just that he didn't do anything with her, like, he went back to her place after the date and then got
Hmm.
the papers and left.
Yeah. And then Dean is like, we could stick around for a little bit after finishing the case, just so like Sam can take her out on other dates.
I love that.
But of course, Sam deflects and tells Dean to look at the papers and compare them to John's notes. The painting is a portrait of Isaiah Merchant and his family from 1910, and it was purchased in 1912 by Peter Sims, who was also murdered in 1912. And then the same thing happens in 1945 and 1970. Then it was stored until oh, well, here we have a timeline. It was stored until last month when the Telesco family bought it and they were killed the same night.
Mm.
So it's
Okay, so it was a
been,
month.
yes.
Okay, fine. Still.
I still, estate sale, like estates don't move that quickly, though.
Yeah,
When somebody dies and like they die young, maybe they don't have a will. There's no way the estate's moving that fast, especially with their kind of money.
yeah.
The bank would be like, no.
Mhm.
Um, so now after they figure this out, the next scene is them just like breaking into this auction house. For a very rich person auction house, this was very simple to break into.
Oh, yeah.
The alarm was disarmed from outside
Yeah, which
and
is
the
crazy.
door could be lockpicked with like a keyblade or a switchblade,
That's insane,
just like
too.
not whatever knives Dean had
That's
in his
impressive.
pocket. Yes.
They're good at that.
And then there's like no cameras
Yeah,
inside.
somehow.
This is early 2000s. We had cameras inside of stores
Yeah.
by then. So that's weird. But whatever. It's for the plot. They're in there and looking for the painting.
'Cause supposedly when they cut the alarm, maybe cut all the cameras too. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? They don't just snatch the painting with the frame. They cut it. They cut out the canvas out
Yeah.
of the frame and then they take it somewhere and light it on fire. But at this point, we're only 14 minutes into the episode, so this is not the end.
Yeah.
As they are burning it, we are back. The camera goes back into the auction house, and we see the portrait reappear in the frame, and it like it's like a reverse burning.
Yeah. It's
It-
really cool.
Yeah, it's a cool visual. That's why they didn't take the frame.
Yeah, so they could do that cool shot later. Yeah.
Yes.
But, like, this is another one episode where, unfortunately, we've kind of already talked about everything that I have to talk about in this episode in previous episodes because we once again spoilers, I guess, for, like, 30 seconds from now, and if it wasn't completely obvious before, ghosts. We have another haunted thing that they gotta deal with, and because it's haunted, there's not a ton to talk about except for, like, haunted paintings are, like, a very common thing throughout history. People have, like, called things paintings haunted because, like, the paintings, like, supposedly follow you with their eyes or something, or, like, like, they're painted in a way that make it look like that at least, so it, like, freaks you out.
Mhm.
Also, there's a lot of, like, uh, not really haunted there's not a lot of, like, things that I could find about, like, haunted things where, like, paintings, like, where people die like this, like, in the episode, but there are supposed ones for, like, haunted dolls that do the similar thing. There's a couple of very famous dolls, one of them being, the Annabelle doll, supposedly, like, very evil, very cursed, that kinda stuff.
Mhm.
And then there's the other doll that I can't remember off the top of my head, and I didn't write the name down. I think it's, like, Benny the doll or something like that, but it's a very Robert the doll,
Oh, yeah. Last podcast on the
where
left talked about him.
yeah, Robert the doll apparently is, if you don't, like, ask to take his picture with like, basically, he will, like, kill you. And there's
Hmm.
been, like, many, people it's supposed to be, like, a cursed object where, like, if you, disrespect him in any way or something like that, he'll curse you, and then
Mhm.
bad things will happen. There's been, like, a ton of people who write letters into him apologizing, basically, to, like,
Hmm.
be like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I did whatever. Can you please lift the curse?" And then, like, things get better. So
Oh.
yeah, that's like a interesting, like, haunted doll example in real life, but, like, it's basically the same kind of thing as every other episode of It the Spirit, where it's just person got attached to an object that they cared a lot about and haunted, basically.
Uh-huh.
And in this case, using the one as like a way to anchor themselves, and then one as like a conduit for themselves, which is kind of cool. With like the anchor being like the doll, and then
Mhm.
the painting being the conduit that it attacks from, which is like that's cool.
Yeah, it definitely is. I liked the twist on the haunting this episode.
Yes.
It's not your standard ghost, but
No,
nonetheless.
this one was a much better episode than like every other just Ghost episode in that way. I think this did a good job in that sense of
Mhm.
making it interesting, like story wise. But yeah, in terms of like actual like new lore, not really a ton going on here.
But I do like the lore you did find. The next morning, they're getting ready, like, dressed and whatever, and Dean says he can't find his wallet, and he thinks he dropped it in the warehouse, which makes Sam very annoyed. I would be very annoyed too.
I would be too. We just did a whole crime.
Yes, I'd be like, "Why did you even have your wallet on you?"
Yeah.
Whatever. So now they're back at the auction house looking for it. Sarah spots them and asks them what they're doing, and Sam says they stopped by to say goodbye because 'cause they're leaving town. And then Dean pops in and says they're actually staying a few more days. And then he says he owes Sam $20 and pulls out his wallet and gives Sam money.
Mhm.
And Sam is looking at him like, "Excuse me? What
Yeah.
did what is this?"
That
Uh,
it was him doing a setup. Literally,
yeah.
he didn't forget his wallet. He just said that so they had to go back so then he could do this whole thing to get them to go out. I love it. I
Mhm.
love it so much, Dean.
Yes. And then he and then he says he's going to leave them alone because he has to do something somewhere.
Mhm.
And then he just like walks out of frame.
Yeah, I gotta do something somewhere else. Like,
Mhm.
I love it. Dean is so pushing so hard, and it's so cute.
Yes, it
I
is.
love it. Adorable.
It is. It's so cute. I like seeing them do, like, brotherly
I know,
things.
that's why I love this series a lot, is, like, they really nail that they're brothers that love each other a lot, like, they
Mhm.
have such a real relationship, and I love that.
Yes, me too. I really like it, and then, of course, the actors make it even
That's what I
better.
mean, they, like, nail it with
Mhm.
making it feel like they are related, they do care this deeply about it. They probably do, honestly, at this
Mhm.
point in their lives.
I would assume so, for
Maybe
sure.
not, like, this early in the season in the series, but, like, by now, like, modern times, yeah, definitely, I'm sure they're like brothers.
If they aren't actually best friends in real life like they put on, it's like the longest con anyone has ever done with another person.
Yeah.
Even actors, like, you hear all the time that they fall out of friendships and stuff, and, like, their career still goes on, and they, like, to this day, still do, like, conventions together and interviews, and
Mhm.
their homes are close to each other and
Yeah.
all the stuff, so I think they're actually friends.
Oh, yeah. I don't think you can act this close to someone
Yeah,
for so long
exactly.
and not, like, be working with someone this long.
Mhm. Very true. So now back in the episode here, Sarah tells Sam she had a good time and she would like to see him again. But Sam says Dean is just joking around and they actually are leaving. And as they are talking, someone walks by them with painting that they just burned. And Sam goes, "Oh my God."
Yeah. I
I
loved the reaction.
I laughed out loud and had to pause the episode. It was like you heard me through your headphones when I was
Yeah.
laughing. And I was like that I like I even rewatched it. I rewound it and rewatched it because I was just his facial expression and the mid-sentence cut off, it was like great comedic timing.
Yeah, it was perfect. He looked so scared. He was just like, "What?" He looked like he's seen a ghost.
Yes. And now he's like stumbling to say why he just like had an outburst in the
Yeah.
middle of a conversation. And it startles Sarah. It's like, that would
Yeah.
scare anybody. Just, like, mid-sentence, they, like, scream, "Oh my god." And it's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, what?"
Had a painting.
Yes. And Sam, his quick excuse is that painting is so good. And Sarah says, like, sure if you like a monstrosity."
Yeah.
And he says, like, "What do you know about this painting?" And she says, "Not much, except they sold it to the Telescas the day they were murdered, but she's not letting her dad sell it again."
Good job.
Mhm.
Like the bare minimum.
Yes. And Sam says, "That's good, but not to let anyone buy it." And she says, "Don't tell me you're interested in it." And then Sam says, "No, not in buying it."
Which is a weird thing to say. Like, what do you mean?
Like,
You're
you
interested in it, but not in buying it. That's concerning.
yeah, because he just, like, freaked out about how great it is
Yeah.
in her point of view.
Yeah.
And
So, like,
then
what are we doing?
she's like, "You really wanna buy this thing?" And he's like, "No, I don't wanna buy it."
Yeah. No, not in buying it.
Like, I am interested, but I'm not interested in buying it. It just
Yeah.
implies that he's going to steal it.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Whatever. And then he just tells Sarah he has something to take care of and he'll call her. And then she's like, "So you're not leaving?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"No, we're actually gonna be here." And then he leaves.
Yeah. This is like the weirdest interaction. Like, I don't know if I would want to go on that date if I was her after that.
No, and it looks like
Like, regardless of how, like, attractive you find him, you know?
mhm, and it's obvious here that Sam is still in his early 20s, and Sarah definitely looks late 20s or early 30s. She looks much more mature than him, and I'm like, "Girl,
Yeah.
he's given you too many red flags to stick around
Yeah.
already from this conversation."
Yeah. None of the other ones where he was super secretive and he just, like, blew into town randomly, like, a week before, you know?
Yes. Like, I don't know, I would be calling it off probably before even this point when he was like, "I
Randomly
can't."
snuck into the estate sale and got kicked out by your dad for not being on the list.
Yes. It's like, "What kind of con are you trying to pull?"
Yeah, like, what is happening here? You're like, and you're not interested in the painting, but not in buying it? Are you just, like, thieves? You're trying to, like, date me to, like, get it in? Like, that's what I would be thinking.
I think she brings that up later to them.
Yeah.
Um, she when she's asking them a lot about their lives, I think she brings up, like, stealing things.
Mhm.
But now we jump to the library where they are learning about the painting and the family in the painting. The librarian that is helping them is just, like, so excited. He's a history buff, and he's telling them all about the history. And he says Isaiah, the father, slit the throats of his family and then himself. And then in my notes here, I put, "However, we know it was the boy because he was missing from the photo," which was false, but it's what I remembered. Isaiah was a barber, so he had access to a straight razor. So, of course, it was him that slit the throat
Yeah.
of everybody. There were rumors that his wife was wanting to take the kids and leave, so that's why he killed them all and then himself. The bodies were cremated, so there's nothing else to burn. And in the book, there's a picture of the family, the same one at the auction house,
Mhm.
except the one at the auction house, the father's head is turned to the right, kind of over his daughter's shoulder. And in the
Mhm.
one in that picture, he's looking straight ahead. Now we're back at the auction house, and they actually zoom in on the painting, and Sarah's dad sold it,
Womp womp.
and she scolds him for not caring, and then he literally says he doesn't care because he got a lot of money for it.
Yeah, he was literally like, he's just like, "How could you do that, like, morally or something?" He's like, "Well, the money covers it, basically."
Mhm.
Like, I got enough money to not have morals.
Yes.
And I'm like, "Dang." I mean, it
Mhm.
makes sense. He's an art dealer. I mean, not the most, notoriously good-hearted.
Yes, agreed. And now back to Sam and Dean. They are brainstorming haunted paintings and, like, what they mean, which means they need to go see the painting again.
Mhm.
Dean makes a joke about Sam being able to see Sarah again, and Sam is over it. He snaps at Dean for constantly talking about it. And Dean says, like, "Hey, if you hooked up with someone, you wouldn't be so cranky all the time." And Sam just kinda, like, scoffs and is like, I can't believe you just said that type of thing. And then
Mhm.
Dean is like, actually, in all seriousness, I'm sure this is about Jess. And then he says, like, he doesn't know what it's like to lose someone like that, but he's sure Jess would want Sam to be happy and have fun. Sam agrees that she would want that. Then he says only part of this is about Jess. And I say the main part, because we've explored this theme before, is they don't stick around long enough to get attached to someone.
Mhm.
They're constantly leaving, so he's like, "What's the point in making friends or finding a lover or whatever?"
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a lot of that and also just, like, worried that they might get killed too, like, that whole fear in there.
Yeah, because he talks about that later as well, that
That
anybody
he's
close to
cursed.
him dies. But Sam calls her anyway to set up time to meet and discuss the painting. She tells him it's actually been sold, and he just demands an address.
Mhm.
Going back to the scene with them in the in the gallery when he's like, "I'm not interested in buying it," and now he's like, "Oh, you sold it? Give me their address."
Yeah, it seems like you're gonna go murder and steal this painting. Well,
Yes.
murder the people and steal the painting, not murder the painting,
Yeah.
even though that's actually what they are intending to do,
Mhm.
funnily enough.
Now we see an old lady with the painting over her mantle.
Like, real quick, just wanna
Mhm.
get back to this. Why would you put that there? It's not your family. That's where you put your family portrait.
Well, she lived alone. Maybe she didn't have one,
But why that painting? That painting isn't that good that you put it on your mantle.
but it's big, so where else do you put it?
But why would you buy it in the first place?
I would buy a creepy portrait of a family. I
You
would.
would. You would. Okay. Alright, continue.
I don't know if I'd want one that big though, but, like, it would be cool. Not if it killed us, though. Anyway, heading on. The dad's head turns and we see the razor reflecting in her glasses,
Mhm.
and we hear, like, ripping noises coming from the painting, and then she looks up 'cause she's reading. I don't know, she didn't
Yeah,
notice it.
she's sitting in a chair.
Yeah, and she looks up and screams. Sarah did give Sam the address for some reason. But she also meets them there asking, like, what's going on because apparently he told her that Evelyn, the old lady, is in danger, but he didn't explain why, and she was just like, "Sure, here's the address."
Insane.
Like, that is has to be against, like,
She has to be the
laws.
most naive person. I'm sorry, at this point,
Mhm, and if
like, that shit's crazy.
and, like, part of running a business, she helps her dad run this business, is you don't give out client information, like privacy laws and stuff, like, you
Someone's
can't.
address?
Yes.
Like, that to this guy who's being crazy about this painting that you just met? Like, no. No.
Yep, but,
She's the
they
most trusting person in existence.
yes, exactly.
Good thing this time it worked out for her, but, like, still.
Right? So Dean is picking the lock to the house, and Sam is looking for a way through a window. And Sarah asks them if they are burglars. And in parentheses, I put yes. Um, but Sam says it's not that simple, and she should just go wait in the car. But she won't, though, because Evelyn is a family friend. They enter the home and they see Evelyn sitting in her chair where we last saw her. We zoom in on the painting, and the dad's head is still to the side. And the lady is just kinda creepily not moving.
Mhm.
Sarah touches her shoulder and her head falls back. Neck spin, slit.
Yep.
Sarah looks up at the painting and sees the dad's head faced forward.
Mhm.
Sarah comes over to their motel the next day, and she's all mad. She's like, "I lied to the cops for you and said I was the only person at Evelyn's house and I found her that way." Like, "Well, you didn't have to do that."
Yeah.
Like, that's a you problem. Don't be mad at them for that. But then she'd have to be like, "I gave this complete stranger somebody's address, a client's
Yeah, it's just a
address."
mess. She's in too deep at this point.
Yes. And then she said she's gonna go right back to the police and tell them about Sam and Dean if they don't start telling her what's going on.
Mhm.
So they kinda give her the lore drop about the painting, and obviously she's in denial, and she's like, "You're crazy." And then she even says like, "Man, the guys I picked."
Yeah,
And Sam says they're trying to stop it, and she says she wants them to show her, like, "If this is actually happening, you're gonna show me this is what's
yeah,
happening." Sam tells her she needs to stay put because she'll get hurt, and Sarah says she's scared, but she's not going to hide while something she is selling to people is killing them.
yep,
And then she walks out the door and says, "Are we going or what?"
I
And
love it.
then De Dean points to her and says, "Sam, marry that woman."
Mhm. I love it.
Yes, me
So
too,
good.
because she definitely fits in with them.
Mhm.
Like, I could see her being, like, a recurring main character, and I'm
Yeah,
sad that doesn't happen. But
yeah.
so now they're back at Evelyn's house, and Sam is picking the lock, which is just weird because how did it even lock? Did they find her keys? Who locked it? I don't know. Sam has to pick the lock again, though.
Well, the cop probably did. Crime scene.
That's assuming they found a key to lock the door.
Yeah, but maybe they did.
I don't know. There is crime scene tape across the door, though. And Sarah says, "Isn't this a crime scene?" Well, like, yeah, one, there's tape, so obviously.
Yeah,
But then then Dean says, "You already lied to the cops. What's another infraction?" And he has, like, a little smirk.
yeah. Again, too far in already.
Mhm. They get in, grab the painting off the wall. Dean notices in the picture of in the book that they got, the razor is closed, but in the painting, it's open
Mm.
and on the table next to the boy. See, you see it? It kept confirming my theory that it was the boy because it was next to him.
That's so funny.
Yes. Here in the dialogue, Dean says, "Sam, check it out," but he actually started saying Jared, so it comes out as jam.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
I didn't notice.
I
That's so
saw,
funny.
I didn't catch it when I watched it because even in the closed captioning, it says Sam, um, but I saw on a continuity error, he calls him Jared instead of Sam. So I went back and, like, kept listening, like, I closed my eyes and kept replaying it, and I heard jam, and
That's
then
so funny.
I looked that up online, and then other people said they hear it too. So,
That's
yeah,
great.
he corrects himself, but
Jam.
then Sam notices that there's a painting inside of the painting. In the original, it's like a landscape, but in the one they have in front of them, the bigger one, it is the merchant mausoleum in, like, a cemetery.
Mhm.
So now they're going to graveyards around town looking for it, which this is also interesting to me. I just kinda wanna point out 'cause I've been, like, thinking about it. Why are only local people buying this painting? I mean, I know it's for the plot, but outside of that, this art can go anywhere. So who says they were even buried in the town that they're in?
Yeah. That's a great point.
It's very convenient
Mhm.
that this local legend portrait is also just staying in town, and they put it in that really big box to ship it to a family friend. It's just like, "What?" A
Yeah, that's valid.
anyway,
That's so funny.
I just thought of that while sitting here. It's just
Yeah, that's hilarious.
weird. But while they're walking through a cemetery, Sarah says, "So this is what you do for a living?" And Sam says, "Not exactly, we don't get paid." And then she says, "Well, mazel tov." And while they're talking, Dean finds the mausoleum finally because he said they've been to like 3 cemeteries and haven't found it.
Mhm.
And it's locked up with a chain, and, Dean has the chain cutter things,
Yep,
and
bolt cutters. So they
yes,
gotta break in again.
yep.
Yet
They
another
Twerp.
crime this episode.
Yep. Once inside, they see urns for the cremated family, and the little girl's doll is preserved, and Sarah says that's the creepiest thing she's ever seen. And Sam tells her that in history, when kids died, their favorite toys were usually preserved with them in glass cases, like next to their headstone or urn.
Which, yeah, which this is another, like, bit of history that I was able to dig up a little bit about it. It's a very common thing, all throughout history, all the way back to even the Egyptians and stuff too, and throughout most societies where when someone dies, it is not uncommon for them to be, basically set up with a care package of their favorite things to go with them, basically. Um, the belief was that the spirit could use those items in the afterlife if they were buried with them, kinda thing.
Mhm.
Um, and thus they also became a thing when people started doing like mausoleums and like bigger things like that, like richer families and stuff. When they started building those, they did some similar things like this, where they put like if a child died young, they put a doll of theirs in the glass that's near it, and they do like the exact same thing that's happening in this episode. So yeah,
Mhm.
that is correct. It is very common when kids or anyone really died back in the day to like bury them with some of their favorite things, like their favorite clothes, or in their favorite clothes, or with their favorite trinkets, or all the
Uh-huh.
way back in the Egyptians, their favorite cat.
Oh,
Yeah, they mummified their cats and stuff with them when they died.
that's probably that's not that bad. If their
Well,
cat
they
was
usually
already
killed the
dead.
cat. No,
Oh, okay, never mind,
no,
that is bad. Okay,
they
don't do that.
when they died, they usually killed their cats with them to sacrifice them and then bring them with them to the spirit life
Oh,
by mummifying them as well and burying them.
okay, that is bad.
Yeah, not great, but it's not an uncommon practice for this kind of stuff to happen, but
Sitting here, like, listening to you say this, it did remind me that when my grandpa died, my grandma got a casket that had, like, a little drawer in it for us to put stuff in, and, like, a good amount of us, like, us grandkids and my mom's siblings and stuff, wrote him letters to put in there, and I
yeah.
think I even bought a, payday candy bar because we ate those together all the time to stick in there, and, like, people did, like, little mementos and stuff, so it's like
Mhm.
that was 14 years ago, but it's still pretty modern thing to do, I
Yeah,
suppose.
it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still a very common practice, even
Mhm.
in modern times.
Yeah. Like, you'll hear people say, like, "Oh, I buried them with their glasses," because they loved having
Yeah.
their glasses with them.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's really interesting to think about how we've just kinda changed it over the years, but it's still the same thing.
Mhm.
At this point, though, in the episode, Dean points out that the only urns in there are the mom and 3 kids. Dad's urn is gone. And I'm saying, honestly, I don't even know why they're still looking for the dad. They know objects keep spirits tied to the real world, and both of those kids have objects right there.
Yeah, but they're right now, like, fair like, I think reasonably assuming it's the dad because he's the only one I've seen move, and, he's, like, the matriarch, right? And he's also the one that doesn't have an urn here, so it's like, "Oh, maybe it's his bones that we need to salt and burn." I get the thought process, sure, because I also fell for the trick watching the episode initially. I thought it was the dad too, so
Mhm.
I also get swerved. So, like, it makes sense that they would go jump to that first, I think.
Yeah, it's just like for safe measure, they could have just,
Yeah, but would a kid really be gruesomely murdering a bunch of people?
remember when they got stuck in that house with the family that murdered people for fun?
Would a kid really do Yeah, no, that's a valid point. That was actually a couple episodes ago. So,
Yes.
yeah, I would automatically distrust the kids too after that,
Yes.
after meeting that creepy girl.
Same. But now Dean is in some sort of government building looking at death certificates, and Sarah and Sam are outside. And Sarah asks how Dean, like, even gets in the door, and Sam just says, "Lying."
I mean, yeah.
Mhm. Sarah is the first supporting cast member to ask the important question.
Yeah,
She doesn't stop asking questions.
yeah, it's great, actually. I really love this dynamic.
Mhm, me too. And now Sam is saying she has, like, an eyelash under her eye and, like, she's not getting it, so then he's like, "Can I get it?" And, like, then he tells her to make a wish.
out.
It is. It is so it's cute.
It's, like, disgustingly cute. Like, it makes me sick how gross and cute it is.
She asks Sam if there's something between them or if she's just delusional.
Hey, straight up
Mhm.
asking, man. I love it.
Yeah. Sam says she's not delusional, but he doesn't think them being together is a good idea because he likes her. And when he likes people and there's people around him, they end up getting physically hurt, not just emotionally hurt.
He sounds like such an emo kid, though. Like, "I can't be with you because everyone around me gets hurt."
Yes,
Like, it just sounds like so like, overly emotional, and it's, like, so funny to me
the
'cause, like,
OG
she even is just like,
emo.
"Really?"
Mhm. Yes. And now he's telling her about Jess and his mom, about how they died, and he's cursed with death following him. No, he knows that's not true because they already met a reaper and it wasn't following him.
Mhm,
But he's scared if he gets too close to someone, they die. And Sarah says, like, "Oh, that's so sweet, but it's very archaic."
mhm,
And she says she's a grown woman and can take care of herself and can make decisions for herself.
mhm,
And she says she's learned that shutting out the pain means you shut out everyone around you.
mhm.
And Sam says he absolutely cannot go through that pain again. So
You know,
he's
fair. I can't
yeah,
imagine that kind of pain.
me
Like,
neither.
witnessing her dying in a fireball above your head the same way your mom like, that's
Mhm.
traumatic.
Yes,
Mm.
absolutely. And while they're in the middle of this conversation, Dean just appears and is like, "Am I interrupting something?" Like, obviously you are, but it's fine. He says the family was so ashamed of Isaiah that he wasn't cremated and put in the mausoleum. He was buried in a regular pine box. And so there are bones to burn.
Their bones to burn. Gotta go burn some bones,
Yes.
as they do every time.
Yeah. Although I was really freaking out when I was watching this because I was like, don't go burn them. He's the one trying to keep everything contained.
Mhm. I didn't realize it till after, like, it actually happened. I was like, "Oh, that's smart." He's, like, the protector. He's, like, trying his best to, like, not let it happen.
Yeah. Like he's keeping his head over his shoulder to like watch the
Mhm,
girl. His head only turned back to front every time she left the portrait.
mhm.
So they're doing it. And Sarah is still with them. So she's just tagging along for all the crimes today.
Again, you're already in this deep.
Yeah.
Might as well finish it out.
And I guess they haven't proven anything
Yeah,
yet.
they proved that they're criminals on, like, 12 fronts.
Yeah. And then Sarah says you're uncomfortably comfortable with digging graves. And Sam says it's not the first grave they've dug up. And then and then he says, "Do you still think I'm a catch?" Valid
No.
question. There's
No. No, I do not. I stopped thinking that when you said, "Oh my god," when a painting walked out of the room mid-conversation.
yes, a painting nobody wants. Well, obviously people want it, but it's
People want and then they die.
yes. And after this, Dean, like, taps the casket with his shovel, and the sound bite that was put in was a hollow metal, and then they show him stick the shovel in there and break it apart because it's wooden.
Funny.
Yes.
I didn't notice it either because it's just such a common, like, oh, like, a tink is, like, where you hit the thing you're trying to get to.
Mhm.
So, like, regardless of if it's wood.
Yes.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was. I heard it and I was like, "That doesn't sound right," but I'm gonna roll with it because as you said, it's, like, what we're used to hearing.
Yeah,
And then when I was researching more for this episode, I saw other people pointing it out, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that did happen."
that's so funny.
So, he opens the casket, and they see the bones, and it's, like, the worst looking skeleton prop I've ever seen. And then they light it on fire.
As they do.
Mhm. All while Sarah is still standing there completely traumatized.
Well, yeah, she just saw them dig up a grave and burn it. Like,
Yeah,
that's insane.
it is.
They didn't even, like, grave rob it. They just dug up this grave and set it on fire,
Yes.
and that's it. These guys are fucking weird.
And as far as she can tell, it's just all for fun.
Yeah, that's what I mean. These guys are fucking weird. This is what they're doing on their, like, what, Friday night.
Mhm.
Jesus.
Dean says good riddance to Isaiah as he's burning, but there's still 10 minutes left in this episode. So something else is happening.
Yeah, I actually once they were doing this part too, I was like, "Oh, okay, we're done now." And I'm like then I looked at the timer, I'm like, "Wait a second."
Yeah.
I did it a
Yep.
couple times now that they did that. Like, when they first burned the painting, I also did that. I'm like,
Mhm.
"Wait, there's 20 minutes left in this episode."
Yep. So now they're back at Evelyn's house. Sam tells Dean to keep the car running just in case something goes wrong.
Mm,
Dean tells Sam to go inside with Sarah and to make a move, which is weird because this is a crime scene.
yeah,
Still, don't do things that put your DNA around the house in an active crime scene where someone was
yeah.
murdered. Anyway,
Like, 2 days ago was murdered.
yes. So now they're inside. And then this is where I realized I had been wrong the entire time. I've been writing my notes. The girl is out of the painting, and so is the razor. So it wasn't the boy. And we
Mhm.
hear her laugh, which is so creepy.
Yeah, it's the creepy little girl laugh, and you're just like, "Oh, this sucks."
Hmm. The door shuts on its own, and Dean notices. So now he's trying to break down the door. Sam is looking for salt and he can't find anything. And he's like, stupid low sodium diets.
Yeah.
And then he's looking for iron, like him and Sarah are looking for iron, but there's nothing. And this ghost girl is making papers fly around everywhere. Like, where did all this paper come from? It's just flinging
'Cause it
around.
looks cool.
Yeah. She's just causing havoc in there.
Uh-huh.
She's walking towards them and holding the doll in one hand and the razor blade in the other, which is even scarier thinking about and like seeing.
Yeah.
There's like a dissonance
Mhm.
there. Sam actually trips over the fireplace poker at this point. Then he picks it up and the little girl's face, it like deforms in a super weird
Mhm.
way when he
Yeah,
hits
that's
her
pretty
with it.
creepy.
It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of like a visual we kind of don't see again with
Uh-huh.
ghosts. Him and Dean are like screaming at each other about how there's nothing else they can do because she's already cremated, which literally makes 0 sense because they already know the doll is in the crypt.
Yeah, they literally talked about it earlier.
Yes. And they know this is how you stop it. Like, I don't know, but they're like, there's nothing we could do.
Uh-huh.
And then Sarah is like, "Hey, did you know when dolls were made for dead kids, they, like, use their actual hair," or, like, not dead kids, but kids in general for the rich kids, they use, like, their actual hair to make
Uh-huh.
it. So, like, her doll has real hair, and I'm like, "Okay, first of all, Sam's the one that told you that they buried dolls with the kids, and you didn't know that, but you would as a art historian, you would know this. And then Sam, who knows the art history behind it, would also know that her real hair was in the doll. Just
Or, like, one of them or both of them would know that, like, I feel like that if you know part of it, you would know all of it. So, like,
yes,
how do they each of them know half of this?
yes, it makes no sense. But you know what? It
Hey,
Dean
maybe it worked out that way.
it worked out, yes, because now Dean knows he needs to go back to the crypt to burn the doll. The
Uh-huh.
little girl, though, she's not happy. She overheard, and it makes her mad.
Yeah.
She's pushing around objects around the room, like, to Sam, like, she's throwing him around, and Dean, though, he's already back at the crypt. He gets there super fast. He teleports to the crypt,
Uh-huh.
and he's trying to break the glass by, like, punching it, and it's not working, and then he realizes he has his gun on him. He, like, pulls it out of his pocket, and he's like, "Oh, yeah," and then he shoots it.
Which I feel like the glass after he went to, like, hit it and stuff, like, that type of glass, if you shot it, there's such a high chance it ricochets. Because it's like
Yes.
it was, like, tempered glass or, like, plasticky kinda glass. So, like, I feel like shooting it would not be a great idea, and it wouldn't break the way it broke in, like, the episode.
Yeah,
It
that's
just looked very
true.
like, when he first was hitting it, it looked almost like plastic.
Mhm.
And then, like, maybe that's just because, it's a prop, right?
Mhm.
And it was plastic, and then when he shot it, it was glass, to make it shatter like that. But, like, I was
Mhm.
like, I just didn't think it would shatter that way.
It
It looked
mm,
more like more it looked sturdier than I thought.
it may have been, like, a plexiglass or, like, a really thick glass. Because if you think about it, like, if it's for preserving, it needs to, like, withhold
Well, yeah,
all
that's what I mean. Like,
weather.
it looked like a plexiglass, and, like, people use plexiglass and stuff, like, in bomb shields, like, to, like, block
Yeah.
shrapnel. So, like, a bullet wouldn't pierce it
Yeah,
like it did. Like, 'cause, like, they shot it and it broke like a pane of glass.
it did.
That's what I meant. Like, it looked like I was like, I don't know if that would work as well as he was hoping if he shot, like, plexiglass.
Probably not,
But,
but it
hey,
does.
maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong in the comment, let me know.
We
Gotta
don't
get one in every episode.
we've never shot glass before, so we don't know.
Fair.
Just as the girl is walking up to Sarah to slit her throat, Dean lights the doll on fire and it saves the day. And this is like
Uh-huh.
another super cool visual. When the girl catches on fire, she goes back into the portrait in that like reverse
The
uh
reverse fire
fire.
way.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so cool.
hmm Dean finds out that in the county archives, Melanie was their adopted daughter, and she needed to be adopted because her biological family was killed in their beds.
Let me guess, with their throat slits.
hmm So it's obvious she killed them and then moved on to another family because they were like, well, a little girl wouldn't kill her whole family. She just
Mhm.
survived this attack. And then she killed her new family.
Great.
Mhm. Now Sarah tells her workers, like the people working for her, when they boarded up the painting, she tells them to go outside and burn it. And they look at her like, "What?" And she goes, "No, I'm being serious.
Yeah,
Get rid of it."
probably smart,
Mhm.
just in case.
Just in case. Sarah is not happy about them leaving, so Dean decides to give the kids some space. And but as he's heading out of the room, he mutters to himself, "I burned the doll and got rid of the spirits, but don't thank me or anything."
Mhm.
Which is true. Dean did all the heavy work. He dug up the whole grave, he burned the bones, he burned the
Yep.
doll. Yeah, he did it all.
He did the main B&Es and stuff while he was just sitting there talking with her.
Yes, exactly. Sam and Sarah are now having a very awkward goodbye. Sarah tells
Mhm.
Sam he has learned a good lesson in all of this, and that lesson is they made it through in one piece and she did not get hurt, which means
Mhm.
he's not first. So maybe he'll come back and visit her.
Mm.
And he says he will, and then he leaves. Very quickly after leaving, he knocks on the door and she opens it and he kisses her. And Dean
Mhm.
smirks and says, "That's my boy." And then he gets in the car and the episode is over.
Yeah, this episode is very good. I liked it a lot.
I liked it too. Yeah, we'll get into that in a moment. Let's get into our crime counter because we actually have crimes to go over this time. That's not the same old, well, they're kind of the same old stuff, but like interesting. Okay. So we got B&Es. We have 2 B&Es that I'm gonna be considering, which is when they go to the first house and then Evelyn's house, when they break
Mhm.
in, to technically do their welfare check, but, like,
Yeah.
they don't know her, so that's breaking and entering.
Yeah.
Um, that would be about 2 years jail time. And then we have theft and property destruction, and that's when they break into the art gallery, steal the painting, and destroy it. And this would probably be 10 years because
Yeah.
of the value of the painting alone.
That shit's a felony.
Yes, it is like yeah, it goes over the felony threshold at that point.
Yeah.
Then we have desecration of a grave and a corpse. That's about 5
Could
years.
technically be 2 with,
Mm.
another one of those, when they went into the mausoleum.
Oh,
Desecration of a grave. When they break the doll and burn the doll, kinda desecrating a grave.
I couldn't see anything in particular
About, like,
about that.
mausoleums.
It kinda just seemed like property destruction.
That's fair.
So I kinda just lumped those together. I guess I forgot to
Yeah.
write down, but, it's kind of new in today's in real time life, we're actually experiencing that from some guy in Pennsylvania. So I guess we're learning laws about breaking into crypts in real time.
Yeah.
So, okay, I already did desecration of a grave and a corpse, 5 years. And then trespassing on a crime scene and tampering with evidence is about 5 years.
Yeah.
So overall, they have about 22 years worth of charges in this episode.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah. So going on to our episode review, right before we started recording, I changed one of mine.
I am changing it right now too because I agree.
Oh.
After we did the review, I agree.
Mhm. And our scores are the same exact thing now for all of them. So for story and pacing, we both gave it a 5. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's very well done. There's many times where I was like, "Oh, the episode's done. Oh, no, it's not. Plot
Mhm.
twist." When they actually got me on a few of the twists where I'm like, "I forgot that was coming. Good job."
Mhm.
Like the swerve of being the daughter instead of the dad. I was like, I was convinced it was dad the whole time. Good job. You did a very good job.
Yeah.
And it never felt like it was going too long. Everything was, like, tight and, like, neat.
Mhm.
Everything was very well paced. I liked it a lot.
I definitely agree. For monster lore, we both gave it a 1 because there isn't any.
It's the same thing. It's
Yeah.
only ghosts, and it's only angry ghosts. I did like, we'll give them a little bit of credit. I'm not gonna change my score on this at all because I think I'm getting tired of the ghosts being the
Mhm.
only thing. It's just a haunted thing every time. "Oh, we gotta burn the bones. Oh, we gotta burn the painting. Oh, we gotta burn the something," you know?
Mhm.
I'm I want it to be something more interesting that I can do some more research about. So I give it a 1. But I did like the way that they did it in the sense of, again, like I
Mhm.
said earlier in the episode of it being the haunted doll is the problem, the being the anchor, and then the painting being the conduit. I thought that was cool. Way to a difference at least. Like
Yeah.
they did something different, but I'm getting so tired of ghosts that all the scores are just going down every time it's a ghost at this point.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
getting a little
And
repetitive.
like, those things I kind of put into story as
Yeah.
well, like the twist and, like, those little things, that's
Yeah.
all story. That doesn't have to do with the monster lore, so that's still all those things are still valid, but the
Yeah.
monster lore is
For
still
sure.
valid being 1 because again, it is the same stuff.
It's just a ghost
Yeah.
on a haunted object. Like
And we didn't even learn why she does this.
this is literally just the mirror episode, but with a little girl and a straight razor instead.
That's true.
It's literally the same thing. Like, anyway,
For character development, we both gave it a 2. Okay, so I said this is the one that I changed right before we started recording,
same.
and that is because we both had it at 1, and then
Mhm.
I was writing up my little synopsis of the episode, and then I wrote down that this was Sam's first step into healing, like, past Jess,
Exactly.
and so then I was like, "Okay, so he does develop some, but it's not, like, really, it's just, like, a
It didn't
nudge."
feel enough to, like, bump
Mhm.
it higher than a 2.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, okay, it's not fair to give it a 1 because there was development. Was the development, like, super crazy? Not really.
Mhm.
And, like, at the end, it's like, oh, like, he kissed someone, good. Like, he moved on enough to do that, like, great.
Mhm.
But that's it, you know?
Yeah,
Didn't seem like enough for me to give it any higher.
exactly. Visuals and direction, we both gave it a 4. The fire portrait things, that was cool.
That was, like, the big thing, and just the little girl in general, I thought had a
Mhm.
bunch of cool effects and, like, the wind blowing. Like, there's a bunch of cool shots in this episode. It was very well done.
Yes, and I liked, the scene of them breaking into the art gallery, like, that was really cool camera angles and
Mhm.
stuff too.
Yeah.
Emotional impact, we both gave it a 1.
This is not an emotional episode. It's just
Mm-mm.
not. Even with the Sam stuff, it's just not it doesn't hit. Like, I get it. I feel the emotion for him. I feel bad for him, but not in a way that I'm just like, "Oh, I'm sad now," you know?
Yeah,
Didn't pull any heartstrings.
the way the writing in the episode is done is to make you, like, root for him and Sarah, it's not really to, like,
Yeah.
feel his emotions.
Yeah, and, like, all the stuff with Dean and stuff, it's a very comic relief episode still too. Still
Mhm.
very funny,
Yes.
like, a little silly, you know?
For rewatchability, we both gave it a 4. This is a fun
Yeah.
one to just rewatch, when you want
Yeah.
to.
I think this is a very good one to rewatch. Like, this is one that would be on my short list of things that I would rewatch, but it's
Mhm.
not, like, good enough where I'm like, "I want to rewatch it right away," which is what
Yeah.
I consider, like, a 5 where I'm like, "I wanna go again," you know?
Mhm. Agreed. For Salt and Sass, we both gave it a 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's midline.
Yeah, it's good. Like, that's the thing is, like, the scores seem low or mid or whatever. That's a good like, a testament to how good it is, right?
Mhm,
Especially, like, the Salt and Sass, like, you gotta be very good to get higher than, like, a middle of the road because, like,
mhm.
they're all good, and
Yeah.
that's, like, the baseline is, like, 3.
Mhm.
So, it was a fun one. There was some fun banter back and forth, uh, but nothing to write home about.
Agreed. And that makes our average scores both 2.86, which makes that our combined score.
Yep.
And I do want to say, while that is lower than, like, our mid baseline of 3, is I go through I read a lot, so I go through this with my ratings with reading too. Something can be very entertaining, but it could also not be great.
Yeah.
So it brings you high entertainment value, but that doesn't mean if you look through the structure of how TV shows are made that this episode is like a top tier episode.
Yeah, exactly. There was enough plot holes and, like, things that were like, "Why would this happen? This doesn't make sense outside of the story in this episode," that
Mhm,
it's you turn your brain off and you watch and it's fun. But if you
mhm.
actually, like, want to get a lot of depth out of it, this episode's not that.
Yeah,
That's fine,
it is.
you know? But if you agree or disagree, let us know in the comments. Let us know what your scores are. If you think we're right on the money, if you differ with us at all, let us know. We would love to hear that.
Yeah, me too.
Any other thoughts about Provenance?
No.
Alrighty then. Well, that brings us to the end of season 1, episode 19, Provenance. Thank you all for joining us as we stop yet another goddamn ghost, but this time in a painting.
Mhm.
Next week, we'll be visiting a vampire's nest, and we'll get our first encounter with a bunch of vamps. See how that goes. So, whenever you're ready, see you in the arc.
Bye.